I want to briefly outline the case for racial consciousness. It seems to me that talking honestly about racial identity and racial differences has become extremely taboo in society. And yet racial tension seems to be increasing. On one extreme, I see people who are absolutely obsessed with racial identity and who tend to view just about everything in racial terms. On the other extreme, I see people who deny the importance of race, and even some who deny that race and racial differences even exist. I want to offer some of my thoughts on race and racial identity, and make the case for a healthy form of racial consciousness. It's impossible to do so without saying some things which some people may consider controversial. But I do believe it's possible to have a rational discussion on the topic of racial identity and racial differences without promoting division and hatred. And I certainly don't hate anyone because of their race. And I absolutely condemn any kind of hatred or violence that's directed toward any individual on the basis of their race. With that clearly stated, let's begin by considering the question, what is race? This is a question that race deniers frequently ask, with the intention of calling the concept of race into question. They're trying to push the idea that race is just a social construct. It seems to me that this tactic of attempting to deconstruct language and confuse definitions is the main debate strategy employed by postmodernists. These are people who hate the truth. They hate the very idea of truth because they are liars. These are the same kind of people who ask, what is art? And of course they ask this with the same intention. They want to create confusion around the definition of the word art, in order to make it seem as if no one really knows what art is. So basically anything can be considered art, which really means there's no such thing as art. They want to destroy the very concept of art. This is because they hate art. They hate beauty because their souls are ugly. They hate the talent displayed by great artists because they themselves have no talent. Their only talent is the destruction of beauty and meaning. They want to make the world as ugly and hollow as they are. And I think this is part of the reason they want to destroy race. Racial and cultural diversity makes the world more beautiful. Different racial and ethnic groups have created different cultures, different languages, different forms of music, art, dance, and religion. I find some of these to be more beautiful than others personally, but each is unique. Personally, I do find women of every race beautiful, but the beauty of Asian women is unique to them, and the beauty of European women is unique to them. Blonde hair, blue eyes, and fair skin is unique to the European race, for example. My point isn't to say that blue eyes are superior to brown eyes. Both brown eyes and blue eyes are beautiful. My point is that there's also beauty in the fact that people have different eye colors. And there is also beauty in the fact that there are different racial and ethnic groups, all with their own unique characteristics. And in order for this beautiful diversity to be preserved, each racial and ethnic group must be free to preserve itself as a distinct group. Racial consciousness is simply the awareness that you exist as a part of a unique racial group, and the desire to preserve the uniqueness and beauty of your race. It does not mean that you want to destroy the uniqueness and beauty of other races. It does not mean that you hate people of other races, or want to commit acts of violence against them. Let's consider how racial identity fits within a larger context. Let's start with the individual level. We each have an individual identity. I know that the idea that everyone is a special snowflake is easy to mock if it's taken to absurd lengths. But of course we are all individuals. No one else is us. And it's completely natural for you as an individual to be more concerned about your own needs and interests than you are about the needs and interests of other individuals. And we might say that this is bad if you take it to the point where you're violating the rights of other individuals in the pursuit of your own individual interest, but there's nothing wrong with recognizing that you have an identity as an individual, and that you have interest as an individual. There's only something wrong with that if you harm other individuals. But it's perfectly legitimate to recognize yourself as having an individual identity, and to pursue and advocate for your own individual interest, as long as you're not harming other individuals. So we can think of the individual as the center of the circle. We might think of our immediate family as an extension of ourself and our individual identity. Obviously, we are the most genetically similar to our immediate family. And it seems perfectly natural to me, and to most people I think, that we are more concerned about our own immediate family members than we are about our neighbor's family members, or the family members of a total stranger. At least most of us recognize that we have a natural duty to our own parents, our own children, and our own brothers and sisters that we don't have to everyone else. In the golden verses of Pythagoras, it says, "Honor likewise thy parents, and those most nearly related to thee. Of all the rest of mankind, make him thy friend who distinguishes himself by his virtue." A few verses later, it says, "But above all things, respect yourself." And a few verses later, it says, "Let no man, either by his words or by his deeds, ever seduce thee nor entice thee, to say or to do what is not profitable for thyself." So the Pythagorean philosophy is that we should respect ourselves as individuals first. We shouldn't act in a way that's contrary to our own best interest as individuals. But although our primary duty is to act in our own interest as individuals, we also have a natural duty to those who are most closely related to us. And of course, some individuals, such as our parents, children, and brothers and sisters, are more closely related to us than our cousins, aunts and uncles, nieces and nephews, and so on. I think Pythagoras would say that we do still have certain familial duties to them, but to a lesser degree than we do to our immediate family members, and to a lesser degree still than we do to ourselves as individuals. Of course, we may make certain sacrifices for the sake of a family member, but the golden verses also tell us that we shouldn't let anyone talk us into doing something that goes against our own self-interest. I think this would include not allowing yourself to be emotionally manipulated by a close family member who's trying to use guilt to control you and pressure you to do something that you know isn't good for yourself. So we do have certain duties to our family, and sometimes we may even make certain personal sacrifices for them, just like they probably are willing to make certain personal sacrifices for us. A parent may make certain personal sacrifices for their children as they're growing up. And when those children grow up, they may make certain personal sacrifices for their parents in their old age. This is mutually beneficial. It isn't parasitic. But we shouldn't allow even close family members to be parasites. We have to respect ourselves as individuals first. We should honor our duties to those most closely related to us second. We might consider our duties to our clan or tribe third. This is an extension of our family, and our nation or race is an extension of our clan or tribe. Our duty to our race is a natural extension of our duty to our own family, which is an extension of our duty to ourselves. And our duty to our species, or humanity as a whole, is a further extension. Your recognition of yourself as having a racial and national identity is an extension of your recognition of yourself as having a family identity and an individual identity. And I don't think it's any coincidence that the same people who attack racial and national identity also attack family identity and individual identity. The idea is to destroy all identity. And there seems to be a special focus on destroying Western European identity. And as an individual of Western European heritage, I have a natural duty to speak out about this and to stand up for my people. But unlike neo-Marxist, I don't necessarily think of this in terms of conflict. I don't think that racial consciousness should result in racial conflict. I don't think that having a sense of family duty means being in conflict with other families. And I don't think that having a sense of yourself as an individual means being at war with other individuals. I think that it's usually in our best interest as individuals to live in peace and cooperation with other individuals. I also think that it's usually in the best interest of families, communities, nations, and races to live in peace and cooperation with other families, communities, nations, and races. At this point, someone may ask, but why should we give so much importance to genetic similarity? Why not focus on similarity of ideas and values, or something else? The Golden Verses give a kind of answer to this in the passage I read earlier that says, "Honor likewise thy parents, and those most nearly related to thee. Of all the rest of mankind, make him thy friend who distinguishes himself by his virtue." This relates to the Pythagorean concept of power and necessity. Necessity has to do with nature, and power has to do with free will. You didn't choose the family you were born into. You didn't choose which race or nation you were born into. But by nature, you are a member of the family, nation, and race that you were born into. And this comes with natural duties and loyalties. But of course, you can choose your friends. This verse advises us to choose our friends based on their virtues, or based on the qualities they possess. We choose to form bonds on the basis of shared values, common interest, or maybe on the basis of having the same religious or political beliefs. So why might the Golden Verses place biological ties first? It seems to be saying that family comes first. You have a duty to your own parents, children, brothers, and sisters. It doesn't matter if your brother has different political views than you do. He's still your brother. It doesn't matter if your son embraces a different religion. He's still your son. Another member of your clan may disagree with you over who is best qualified to lead the clan, but he's still your fellow clansman. And I know this is in ancient Scotland or ancient Israel, and most of us don't really think of ourselves as being a member of a tribe or a clan. But remember that this essentially just means a kind of extended family. And members of the same tribe or clan were more closely related genetically to other members of their tribe or clan than they were to members of other tribes or clans. In evolutionary terms, they shared a more recent common ancestor. If you read the Old Testament, for example, you'll find that a certain tribe or nation is described as the sons of so-and-so. The 12 tribes of ancient Israel were the descendants of the 12 sons of Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel. And all of these tribes thought of themselves as one nation, because they were all descendants of Jacob. They were all children of Israel. The root word of nation is the same as the root word of natal. It has to do with birth. And a nation has always been understood all over the world and throughout history as a people with a common genetic ancestry, a common language, a common culture, and a shared homeland. And in most of the world, this is still understood to be obviously true. It's only in European countries where there seems to be a coordinated, forceful push to completely redefine what a nation is. And it seems to be people of a particular tribe who are behind this push. And I'll explore the reasons for this in a future discussion. But unfortunately, I'm not able to talk about this subject on YouTube. So I encourage you to follow me on BitChute, where I am able to speak more freely. I'll post a link to my channel on BitChute below. As of now, because of censorship on YouTube, I plan to make BitChute my primary platform from now on. So if you want to continue to hear new content from me in the future, please subscribe to my main channel at www.bitchute.com/Illuminatus Pythagoras. I will be posting new content there, as well as re-uploading some of the content from this channel, just in case this channel gets deleted. I don't plan to delete this channel though. I plan to leave it up so that the content I've published on YouTube is still available here. But it's not necessary to unsubscribe from me on YouTube, because it's possible this could change in the future if certain changes are made on this platform, or if new laws are passed protecting free speech online. But to wrap up this discussion, I want to say that it's perfectly moral and rational to have a sense of individual identity, and to have a special concern for your own individual interest. This does not mean hating or harming other individuals. It's perfectly moral and rational to have a sense of yourself as a member of a family, and to honor your duties to your family. This doesn't mean hating or harming your neighbor's family, and it doesn't mean engaging in nepotism. It simply means taking care of your own family members first. Families should help each other out. I believe families should help out other families in their community and peacefully cooperate in order to create the kind of harmonious society that most families would like to live in. It's in a family's own best interest to be a part of a harmonious society. It is perfectly moral and rational to love your own race and nation, and to preserve your own unique racial and national identity, culture, history, and heritage. And to do this, your people have to have a homeland. Multiculturalism, open borders, and mass immigration are part of a coordinated attack on European nations, and Europeans must oppose this assault. And I also say that non-Europeans should oppose this effort to destroy European nations and European identity. Being racially conscious or being a nationalist does not mean not caring about other nations. In the same way that Jews expect non-Jews to care about the Holocaust, I expect non-Europeans to care about what some would describe as white genocide. The fact that I am human, and that I'm more concerned about my own species than I am about other species, does not mean that I don't care about endangered species, or that I wouldn't try to help prevent that species from being hunted to extinction. In fact, I think it's because we value our own species that we can value other species. If we didn't value our own species, why would we value any other species? If we don't care about preserving our own race and our own nation, why should we care about any other race or nation? If we don't even care about our own families, why would we care about any other family? And if we don't even love ourselves, how can we love anyone else? And so I advocate individual rights, family values, and national sovereignty. And for the same reasons, I advocate racial consciousness. And I advocate this for all people, and not only for my own people, as certain other people do. I believe this is the moral and rational position. But we live in a time when moral and rational views are censored, and immoral and irrational ideas are not allowed to be questioned or challenged. And again, because YouTube is actively and aggressively censoring people who defend moral and rational views, and is silencing any criticism of immoral and irrational dogmas, I'm leaving this platform and moving to another platform which allows me the freedom to tell the truth and expose lies. If YouTube censorship comes to an end, I may return. But in the meantime, please subscribe to my new main channel at bitchute.com /Illuminatus Pythagoras. I hope to see you there. Peace.